and for once, also sunny New York.
It's been fairly gorgeous down here for the past few weeks.
I know Heidi's been checking your weather.
Hey,
we,
if you guys want to, hop in and drive down here, I mean, seriously, we can do everything virtually right now, right?
yeah,
So,
that's it. Yeah, it was the other day we had this storm come through that dropped like I don't know seven
good.
gallons of water a second on us or something, and 70 mile an
Yeah.
hour winds. And Heidi was, you know, hey Google, what's the weather in Atlanta? Hey Google, what's the weather in St. Petersburg?
So she chose to talk to Google and not Alexa, huh?
Yeah, our Alexa up and died on us. So we have Google because we have the Android phone, so we got the Google Home. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Doesn't All right, so let me just get this shared around a little bit while people are finding us at our new time slot.
Yeah.
Post that there. Good morning, Richard. Feel like I haven't spoken to you like since last night.
Is it literally or figuratively?
Oh, that's literally. Yeah, we do. He's all the way in British Columbia, so we do 9:30 p.m. our time, or your time and my time,
Uh-huh.
and then I don't know. I guess that's like 6 p.m. or so, 6:30 for him.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, because they're on the like West Coast time
Yeah.
frame.
Hey,
Cool.
good morning, Joseph. Thanks for
Good morning,
joining us.
Joseph.
Oh,
What's up,
looks like we
Chad?
get some people
Cheryl.
finding us here. All right, all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
anytime
so
you always kind of wonder, well, what the effect is going to be. Funny, that's kind of what we're talking about today. But
yeah. So yeah, this is going to be our new time slot for a while. Um, as you all know, we're always trying to come up with new ways to better serve our community and stuff like that. So for the time being, we on Monday time slot is set for Melody with the gold lifetime members. Um, again, and like we did last week, we will periodically invite some of the gold members to come in weekly and participate with us.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, that's if you guys have been watching Melody, which I hope you have, you see the amount of work that she's doing for our industry. She's taking even better care of us as members. John and I are both lifetime members, as well as being employed by the company. So she's really going above and beyond to take care of paid members, and that's something you should also be doing within your own schools. As much as we're trying to scramble and reach out to the community and everything right now, make sure you are treating your members like gold.
yeah, so I guess, we're talking about what are you currently doing for your members in your school, right? This is kind of gonna go with today's topic, how we're gonna move forward, what kind of tactics we're gonna have in place, what kind of strategies we're gonna have in place. So before we get started, how many of you right now are sitting at your computer or your desk doing this episode versus taking the opportunity like I am and just walk out of the house and sit outside and on a nice sunny day, get that.
Chad says, "Who is this Melody you speak of?" Yeah, okay.
Uh, Chad, I think you just got yourself in a predicament.
The funny part is though, we still come across people that are like,
We
"Oh,
do,
who's
don't we?
that little woman that does the stuff?" Like, come on. So,
Yeah.
our thrust of the show today is kind of, we've all kind of tactically gotten to a certain point. We've had to scramble for the past, I guess it's been about a month for many of us, a little more or less, depending on where you are. And hopefully you're settling into some sort of routine by now. For us, it was about a week and a half ago. Kind of felt like I was at least in a routine. And this week I feel like, wow, I've got a lot of spare time. So, we're working on. No, I'm joking. We hope so. We're working on looking forward. What is our thrust forward going to be as far as moving from tactical, in the mix, throwing down to strategic? Where do we want to go?
Yep.
So we'll share a little bit about what we're doing in our schools now, because obviously to plan forward, you have to understand where you are right now. And then over to the course of today's show, we're going to just talk about some of the ideas and the concepts that we're putting into place in our schools. It's hard to really plan long term, I think, right now, because we don't really have a firm destination time wise.
So
it's not like May 1st we all open.
I agree. We don't have a time frame, but it's not that it's hard to plan ahead. You know what I mean? I guess my brain kind of works differently. I'm always on the entrepreneur edge. And I mean, I know you know that, Mike, right? Like my brain is always like what's next? What can I do? What can I, kind of like the question came up yesterday in the licensed Skillz group, right? Melody had made a post a while ago about, what you could offer for virtual classes, right? And the questions keeps on popping up. Is this for my current members or is this for the new members? No, current members are still paying the same tuition because they know what you have to offer.
Sure, and they're going to have other perks and relationships with you as well. One thing we did with that is we did it, our virtual classes that we're selling online now are for new members. But for those families that maybe they are facing financial hardship, like you've been to our town is very driven by restaurants and service industries. So a lot of people are out of work. We are letting them drop down to, if they need to that virtual price. Most of our members have been so far, very helpful about keeping the business open.
Yep. So this is when you want to think of a couple of tactics that you want to have in place. All right. So for us, we already have a business plan in place. I'm already talking to our current members who are coming in to do the virtual pre-evaluation of what the current price is and what will the new price be when we move back into the building. Okay. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I already have a plan in my head. I've been to the school a couple of times. I took the camera with me and I not necessarily test drove it as in like teaching a class, but where I want the camera to be, because now that we have Zoom in place, I'm going to keep Zoom. All right. I'm going to set up the camera. I'm going to set up everything. So once we go back on the floor and we're teaching classes, we will have Zoom running.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And we're going the opposite direction. We're going back to the more personal. And I think that's where it's important for people to realize, like, you have to have that vision of what you want it to look like. And we're learning a lot of lessons about our businesses right now. This is like, if you've ever watched, what is that? Bar Rescue with, what's his name? Telfer, Rich Telfer? I don't know. Somebody knows his name. Put it in there.
I believe so.
Tonight. One of the things they do is they pressure test the restaurant or the bar before it reopens to the public. And really, that's what we're going through right now. And the purpose of pressure testing is to see, where are the weaknesses in both the minute-to-minute interactions. Hey, your bartender doesn't know how to make drinks. Well, that's something you need to solve right now. But also, it's pressure testing, what in your long-term vision is working or not working or needs to be adjusted. And then what are the intermediate steps between bartender doesn't know how to make drinks and you don't know how to get people in your business, short-term and long-term. What are those intermediate steps? So whereas John's vision is to continue with, video lessons, mine is to transition those video people into on-site, or actually sign somebody up from Michigan that I'm going to try to transition to another Skillz school when this is all over. Having that long-term, well, as long as you can make it, because we're a little gray area at the end there. We can't say by like September 1st. Having those steps in place so that you can strategically move towards what your vision is.
And that's exactly where, I go back and say, you got to have that business plan in place. You got to have, like you said, that vision in place. So we already have a 3 different scenario when we continue with Zoom and the classes. We have 3 different scenarios where we can still provide Zoom classes, connection and relationship, okay, but still be able to meet their budget, okay? So even if somebody comes in and, you know what, I can't afford this price, but I can afford this price. Well, you know what, Mike, that's great. So you can do the unlimited online Zoom classes every single day of the week. But on top of that, you're also going to get, okay, twice a month where you can come in the studio on the second Friday and the fourth Friday of every single month. You guys will come in and you're going to have a whole hour class. Now, I can bring them in weekly, right, for 30 minutes, right? I can bring them in weekly for 45 minutes. But I don't want it to be where, like, it's going to be like they can show up whenever they want to, because that's going to destroy
Yeah,
my current
unbalance
members.
everything. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want that to happen. I want it to be strategic. I want it to be like, again, we've got our ducks in a row. So don't just go out there and say, oh, I like that idea. No, you've got to make sure that you have it all lined up properly. Well, John, I can't make it on the second Friday of every single month. Well, you know what, Mrs. Smith? How about the first Friday every month for you? Like, I can make adjustments, right? I can have one person here, I can have one person there. But when you have things that set in place when it comes to a new business plan, it just makes it better for you, better for your current members who are currently paying you. Those are going to be more important than anybody else, right?
So that actually speaks to some other, just to kind of take the lesson and cross over to other areas of our business. We see people all the time that, well, I tried this and it didn't work, and I tried that and it worked, and I tried this and it didn't work, and I tried this, but then I changed that and it didn't work. And like, you're doing so many things without a plan that it's impossible to take a measurement.
Yes.
So when you have a plan in place, like John has a plan, I have a plan, and I guarantee when our schools reopen and we go, let's work the plan, something's going to go wrong.
Absolutely.
But when you have a firm basis of, here are 10 steps, I'm only going to change one step at a time to see how it affects what's going wrong. Now I know whether my change was effective or not effective. So, even though we still are kind of thinking on the border of tactically and strategically, by having a strategy, you can easily adapt your tactics based on the needs of where you need to be. And when you do it mindfully, you can be so effective. Guys, this is the same as your advertising. Everybody asks us, well, what offer are you doing? Well, if you ask me tomorrow, it's going to be something different than it was yesterday. Why? Yep. I am constantly testing. I test ads. I test different styles of blog writing. I test different video angles, every little aspect. I only do it one at a time so that it fits my strategy.
Yep. And then the other thing that we're doing right now too, Michael, is we're doing it ahead of the game. We're doing it while, yes, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am brain fried. I can't even wake up in the morning and go, oh, it's Wednesday. I'm going, wait, what's today? What was the last class I taught last night? Because that's the only thing that gets me to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. So, yeah, you can't manage what you don't measure. Absolutely. So here's the thing. We're taking this time right now to be able to have an hour or 2 hours possibly per day to strategically line things up, to plan through things. So I'm not going to plan this when we go back in business. We're not going to plan this when, the president or the governor says, hey, you guys can go back and resume life. No, we're planning it now. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm sharing my thoughts with a lot of you now because I know a lot of you are going to have questions, right? So now you guys are going to do the devil advocates concept with me. So you're going to say, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? So with that, it's going to allow me to have a better business plan in place, because if you ask me a question that I didn't think of, I'm going, wait a minute, that's a good one. No, I need to adjust for that one. So yeah,
adjust for, not just say, oh, let me throw out all my ideas and do that.
No,
like where does it fit, or how does it fit?
You guys, Mike, we run multiple classes, right? Simultaneous classes. So right now, knowing Zoom, I can't run 2 Zoom meetings at once, can I?
I don't believe so. No.
Nope.
Well, you need like 2 accounts or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly, and I already have it set in place that I'm gonna have, two Zoom accounts because somebody already asked me, well, Zoom only does one account at a time, and you've got multiple rooms. Been there, done that, already adjusted for it.
So, I mean, really, that's one of those things that, when you think tactically, tactics are in the moment, laser focused on a specific objective. The Navy SEALs jump in someplace. Their tactics are, I need to clear this room, flashbang over there, take out this guy right now. The strategy is a wider perspective, right? So if this is the way you want to go and you want to go down the path of continuing Zoom lessons like this. Now, John has 3 training floors plus his after school room, plus maybe he wants to do one-on-ones. Maybe he's also using it for coaching. A corporate level Zoom account gives you, I think, a minimum of 10 licenses. So when you look at it tactically, you're like, oh man, I'm losing students. I need to stay focused on just serving my people. I can't spend $200 right now. But if you look at it strategically, I can spend $200 on getting maybe, and this is just
Sure.
Brainstorming. It's not as big of a thing now if I can say, because when we reopen, I'm still going to use this. Same thing with the tech that we're buying. Like I bought a bunch of new stuff to do Zoom classes and raise my level of service. But we're looking at every single purchase, not just what do I need right now for Zoom? Well, you can use your cell phone and that's it and be done. We're also looking at it as once this all settles back down, will this purchase still have made sense? So I spent $200 on some wireless microphones because they're top of the line top of the middle of the line kind of thing. Sure. Without going pro. Because I can see how I'm going to use them, even if we go back to exactly how it was. It was a strategic purchase, even though it had a tactical application. So looking at tech and stuff, I think that's important for you.
Here's another thing. I've got people going, well, you're spending $15 a month on Zoom. I'm like, yeah, but why can't you just use the free one? Listen, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Free is the most expensive matter you'll ever buy. Okay, free.
Back to that same guy that says, oh man, my students don't want to pay me. I got to track down people every month and they don't respect me. And do you have any free things that you can give me so I can fix that? It's like what you put out is what you get back. Now, if free is the only thing you could legitimately afford right now, tactically take advantage of it. But I would highly encourage you to strategically get the next level as quickly as possible.
So I did the video yesterday about how you can use Zoom, right? And you can take Zoom to YouTube, back to Facebook, back to YouTube, and I'm recording things on Zoom. I'm recording things on YouTube. Yes, I'm not recording it on Facebook, but YouTube can do it for you, and you can go back and reshare it, or when you're finished, your members can go back and click on it, and they can still watch it. So instead of me doing 5, 6, 7 steps after I do my class, I'm already doing 2 steps as I'm teaching my class, and I'm already there. Why? Because that $15 a month.
Yep.
And I used to have
a lot of, shout out to Zoom, first of all. They, I'm sure, had their server farms stressed, and they stepped up and really are supporting the world right now and have made many of their paid features free. They've really stepped up and let the world continue right now. Now I know there are other companies doing it.
Yeah.
But Zoom is the one that was readily available, easy to use, and there when people needed them. So take an example for your business right there.
So, with that, it really took. So when we first started this, the first week we were running it, I literally had 5 cameras sitting around. I had my main unit that's connected to my TV so I can see my students. And then I had another camera as a phone that pointed at me. And then I had another camera that was going to the kids group martial arts. And then I had another camera that was going to another group, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, this is stressful. Like, and it's taken me 6-7 minutes to set everything up. And I can't preset it and then do the classes because, well, I got to wait on one Zoom class to finish before the other Zoom class starts, right?
Mhm.
So it was like, no, I gotta be smarter than that. So once, I started playing with it and I was like, and a lot of you probably already know this, you know what I mean? But once I realized I can go live on YouTube, take that live link from YouTube, post it into my Facebook group, right? So my Facebook group, people will go to my YouTube channel and watch me on YouTube. It's already going to be recorded on YouTube. It's going to be saved on YouTube as unlisted or public, however you want to set it up. It just made more sense to me. And I don't have to go 20,000 different steps to do what I wanted to do.
We always make that calculation of, and Heidi and I have the discussion all the time back and forth, like, well, what's the cost in time or brain space?
Yes.
And sometimes my idea makes sense and we save some cost, some time and brain space. Sometimes I've taken it too far and it's just not realistic, and she kind of reels me in. So you have to have that good balance.
Yep.
So that actually brings up one of the things that I want to kind of talk about today strategically is, we put a lot of things in place really quickly. Think about how long it took you to have mindset shifts to get your business where it is, or to how long it took you to become proficient enough at martial arts to be able to teach your first class well. And now within 2-3 weeks, you've completely revolutionized what's happening in your school to take it to an online platform. And it was out of necessity. So on one hand, look at what you're capable of.
Yes.
It is a really high level of mental, emotional energy and stress. And I wouldn't want to have repeated the past 3 weeks every single day of my life, because like when you're rushing, you can get things done quickly, but it's really stressful. But the other part now is you have these things in place, and hopefully you're finding a little bit of time where you can now, goose fraba and find a little peace here in your mental space. So one of the things that we talked about last night on some of the coaching calls that I did was taking these things that we have now. So Melody made the post, I think it was yesterday, like, who has all of these things in place? A robust schedule for your virtual martial arts, offering the one-on-ones, the parents
night in,
the story time, all the things that she's kind of been putting out. So now everybody has these in place, or various elements, depending on what you're doing in your school. So my question now is, those are the tactics. Hosting a parents' night out or parents' night in is a tactic. Hosting story time is a tactic. They are good. I'm not saying tactics are bad. You need them. But how can you strategically leverage them for greater impact in your business and in your community? Because that's the two sides of the balance, right? You got to keep your business afloat so that you can serve your community. So, if you've been watching Dan with his Freddy Fit, Dan is all over the place with his mascot, going to, socially distant, but going to people's houses, leading workouts, doing birthday drive-bys. He built a list of like over 1,000 new people that have never even heard of his school. They've just heard of the things that he's doing and have requested that, Frankie Fit come past their house for their child. And what he's doing is collecting those. Hey, great, we can schedule an appointment. I just need your email address, your phone number, and your home address. So the tactic is going to the house. The strategy is, in a month, I've now got a list of really hot leads. Here's how I'm going to nurture them. And we came up with some really creative ideas of, how to make, this mascot become a character, a persona for the business, so that he can now maintain relationships. And let's say in 2 months we reopen. He's now got, probably by that time, 3,000 hot leads to start filtering into his locations. Story time that Melody recommends. And I know a lot of you are doing it. That's the tactic. What's the strategy that you're using to, it does serve the community and keep you connected with your members, but how can you use that? So watch this. And we just brainstormed this last night. So I'm sure there's better ways that you can implement it. This is just first draft. So you're doing a story time. Where are you getting the book? Well, I mean, there's not a lot of local bookstores around anymore, but if you have one, I'm sure that you could make a connection there, and that guy would probably come drop you off a book so that you could plug his bookstore saying, hey, Joey's Books down on First Street recommends this story for kids between the ages of 5 and 6. They recommend it and like it because blah, 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 blah. What have you just done? You've created a business relationship. You've promoted a local business, which supports your community. And if he's got a link to buy that book, wow, fantastic. I guarantee he's about to share your story time where you've just recommended his business. Now you've got all his leads are now your leads. Then, if your child enjoyed this story, I want you to just text, story time to whatever your Spark number is, or if you're using like Mind Me Mobile or something like that, or just have a web form. Enter your info in this web form, and we'll choose one lucky winner that'll get an autographed copy of this book, and have Sensei Bob is going to autograph it with your child's name, disinfect the cover, and mail it to you. Now you've got all those leads of all the people that were interacting, especially if you host it on your website. Now they're all getting retargeted. So these are the things that you have to build around the things that you're already doing. You guys probably have pretty robust things that you're doing in your schools. How do you maximize each of those? You've heard us talk about the multi-use method, where Jennifer writes a blog. I take the blog, I tweak it to match my voice on my site. Now, each of those blog topics becomes a post on Facebook, becomes a video on YouTube, becomes a TikTok video, becomes a talking point in class. Multi-use. Every single thing you're doing should strategically get you far more in return. That is, in essence, entrepreneurship. It's not time for money. It's maximizing what you're doing to get the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort while serving the most amount of people. So, these are the things that we want to start to do. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're building these strategies in our school around the things that are working. We've also tried a couple things that didn't work so well, but that's part of the process too.
I mean, you got to test drive everything.
Yeah. And in fact, failing is useful information. When we first did all this, we thrust, look, you guys know John and I, if we get a good idea, we're running with it and we're going hardcore on it. So when Melody gave us all this information and then we had our own stuff, it was like, wham, all right, 4GK families, this is the new us. And they all went, slow your roll.
Slow down. Yep.
Slow your roll. Because all their kids just went online for school. And in fact, our school district here this week just now is going back to online classes. So they were sending home packets and do them when you want. Now kids are signing in to take class on school. Parents were working from home. Half the parents are out of work. Half the parents are working 27 hours a day. So when we dumped all this, it was too much. So it was an opportunity for us to respond to them and back up a little bit. And now, roll it out in a more thoughtful way.
Yeah. I mean, so here's an example. Here's a simple example that we did to better serve our community. We started out by just having the early skills and basic skills students do the at-home planner the first week. Okay. We told the parents, for this week, this is what we're going to do. Just allow us time to get Zoom under our belt, because the kids are going to be frustrated if we don't have a good grasp of Zoom. And that way we were able to do the extreme classes, adult classes, and the fitness classes, because they're an older age group. By the second week, we've put in early skills and basic skills around the middle of the day. We didn't do them later on in the day because we're like, you know what? They're families that are at home. They probably want to eat dinner together. They probably want to do more of a family, base things together since they're all home and they're not having to travel. So we did early skills and basic skills at 12 o'clock Monday and Wednesday, and then 3 o'clock Tuesday, Thursday, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. Everything else stayed the same. Okay. And then we made some phone calls and we talked to some of the parents, and some of the parents are like, well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. 12 o'clock is really tight for us. And, my wife and I, we only have 1 or 2 computers at home and we're having to deal with the online learning, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, so how does 9 o'clock in the morning sound? And literally over 50% of our early skills parents said 9 o'clock in the morning is perfect.
Adaptability. That's one of our parent skills.
Yep. And it was like, you know what, guys, you got it. Starting Monday next week, we're going to have it at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we flipped the switch. Why? Because now we're going to do 9 a.m. class on Monday. 12 o'clock was absolutely perfect across the board for everybody. So we did 9 a.m. Monday, 2 noon classes on Tuesday, Thursday, and a 3 p.m. class. And you know what, Mike? The cool thing here is if you miss a class, I totally understand, but now they're all recorded. But at least I want to see your child 1 day a week. How does that sound to you, right?
And that reminds me of a lesson. One of the first big slap downs that Melody gave me. She every now and then she gives me that mental slap down when I come up with an idea that's more grandiose than it needs to be. was I was hardcore on. All right, I need additional revenue streams. What are the additional revenue streams in my business going to be? And it was like, smack. What are the additional needs that your customers have?
Yes.
So, I mean, really, it gets you to the same point.
Yep.
But it's a completely different mindset. So now when you're listening to the needs of your people, rather than saying, hey, everybody, this is what we're doing. Hey, everybody, this is what we're doing. Let me know if you need something else. Now, of course, I'm not going to change my whole business because one person, has an issue with it. And I think, we have this cognitive bias where when somebody says something's wrong, you tend to think everybody hates it. It's natural. It's part of being human, and it's what's kept us alive for so many millions of years. But we also have to recognize that if 3 people say that something doesn't work, that just means that 3 people think something doesn't work, and that 97 other people, it's fine. But when it works, they're not the ones that are vocal.
Yeah.
So I want to pop this up real quick. So Deborah Lynn says, what about the issues of copyright with a story time video? So that's interesting. And I'm not a copyright attorney. So if you're really that concerned about it, I'd run it past an attorney. But
I would Google it.
So the first thing I would do is if I'm leveraging a business relationship with a bookstore or a library, I would consult with them first. Because first of all, bookstores have book readings all the time because it's how they promote the book. So if you're working with a bookstore, it's very likely that because you're helping promote the book for sale, that it's okay. It's a fair use. If you're working with a public library, that is a not-for-profit. You are being a guest on there. The other part of that is that tends to then be, are you using it for business use? Do it on your personal page, just as a community service, and be really tactful about how you leverage that stuff. But aside from that, you bypass all of that completely if you do stories that are in free use. Aesop's fables have been around for forever, since the Greek Empire was a thing. I don't think anybody's coming to get you for that. And those stories are timeless. Or if you're really creative, write a child's story, write a book, or there are people who you can leverage who are just natural storytellers. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're reading out of a book. So if you're concerned about that, there are ways around it. Or, of course, the advice whenever it comes to legal stuff is consult your attorney.
So, I'm glad you brought up that point, because a lot of people, again, they're doing things based on what they know, not based on, what can I do to make it effective? Okay. How many of you are actually utilizing Zoom to the best of its ability? Because I can very easily right now get on Zoom, right? Get myself started, share the screen. And in the background, I've already looked up free storytelling on Google, free stuff on Google. And as I'm reading the story to my audience, I'm using Zoom. But again, I'm showing the book. and the free content that's on the internet that I could utilize.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay away from all these copyright issues, just look at what's free out there. And
Just thinking about this in a broader scheme. So, what is the strategy behind story time? Yeah, it's building connection with everybody. But first and foremost, we're educators. And as educators, one of the things that we do is seek to bring knowledge, because when we bring knowledge, we bring light to darkness. We help step aside from fear. Right now, the world is steeped in fear. So imagine if you were able to bring a bunch of cultural stories, because we hear horrible things about, the way, people of Asian descent are being ostracized or even beaten because somebody said that the virus came from China, so beat up all the Chinese people. By bringing knowledge and connection, like I was a foreign exchange student, and having lived in a Muslim country during the first Gulf War, I was kind of insulated from the extremes of thought that were in the world at that point, because I was more connected to the reality of who these people were. By telling cultural stories, maybe from your arts history, like I teach Chinese martial art, my style goes back thousands of years, and we've got teaching stories and temple stories and lineage stories. Tell some of those. Anything that connects people or assuages worries, or just builds knowledge and lightens people's lives. That's more what we're looking to do than necessarily reading the latest, Harry Potter book to somebody. Nothing against Harry Potter.
I'm glad you brought that up, because like for us, we teach ITF Taekwondo. Each one of our forms has a meaning behind it. Whether the meaning is historical or the meaning is after a certain individual or a warrior or what the case may be. I actually have a book this thick, and it's all about the history of Taekwondo and how it has evolved from Tokyan to Taekwon to Taekwondo to Tang Soo Do, WTF, yada, 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 yada. It's almost like, how it evolved with different doctrines, I guess, per se, or different styles. That's not a bad idea.
That's interesting. Because you have a connection to that history. So it'd be very easy for you to go like to a higher up in the Taekwondo Federation, just as an example, if it was like a federation or an organization book. Here's two other thoughts. First of all, if I'm hosting story time, my grandmother, one of the reasons that I miss her so much, she was this family storyteller. Who are some of the most ostracized people right now? Our elderly. If they're in a home, you can't even go visit them. But today's elderly are not like elderly when I was a child. They grew up in the Depression and they learned how to make food out of rocks and sticks. And, my father would have been in his 70s. He was very computer savvy. So find somebody, the older storyteller in your family, Zoom them, and have them just tell the stories of when they were a kid. The other side of it is, especially in our industry, many authors are very accessible. I'm actually, I think, Facebook friends with the woman who wrote The Three Ninja Pigs. Now, yeah, she has publishers' rights and all that, but I guarantee if I said, hey, in these times, I would really love to use your series of books to help our community, can you direct me to the right people? I guarantee she has the contact to go to her publisher to get whatever permission we need. Cheryl says, I read the name of the book, author, and illustrator, then the story. Yeah, so that's a good reading practice anyway. That said, I would probably posit, and again, I'm not a lawyer, that doesn't absolve you from any copyright infringement if there is. That's like when people post a video on Facebook and says, I have no rights to use the music, but then use the music. What you just did was admit a crime. You didn't sidestep copyright, So I don't know, again, there's ways around it.
If you're not a story person kind of person, a storyteller kind of person, you can go into arts and crafts or things that you can do at home that kids would love to do. So our Courtney, who's responsible for our after school program, she goes on her Facebook page live twice a week, and it's either storytelling or she does like arts, craft, science stuff that you can do at home that kids would love to do. So kind of like one day was like how to make safe Play-Doh at home. The next time it was let's take all the Play-Doh that we created with the different colors and make a rainbow out of it because that was last week when it was like, prior to Easter. But things like that. I mean, parents are looking for ways to keep the kids occupied. Now, listen, one of the things that I faced when I was talking to the parents on the phone is, Mr. Salama, you just don't understand. Like, we're trying to minimize the digital world and have them constantly on the computer, this and that or whatever. And my response is very simple. Mike, you know what? I totally understand how you feel. At this moment, I know that they have to do digital work because of their school work or whatever. But Mike, their class is 30 minutes long, right? And it's not digital concept like playing video games. That's the mindless tactics. No, we, you know how we teach the classes. We bring in the intellectual behavior along with the physical behavior, and not that they still need that social confirmation. They still need to be able to talk to their friends and chit chat with them like if nothing is happening. So that is one way you can protect them from the digital world. So during this time, instead of allowing them being on the iPad or the computer just to play mindless games, yeah, you can reduce that a little bit and make sure they're getting what they're supposed to get virtually without being like so submerged into a game that they don't know how to think anymore. So there is the educational virtual concept and there is the video gaming concept.
Yeah, and the other part is, and I've been talking to a lot of people business-wise about this. Like, well, what do I do when somebody wants to quit? Well, you let them. This is not normal times. We're not setting up this as a lifestyle. We're not setting this up as a life lesson. This is the situation we're in. And to completely cut yourself off and wall yourself off from the world just because, well, I want to reduce screen time. I mean, I get it, and I don't want to minimize it. And actually, I'm a big proponent of that. Not the walling off, the minimizing, screen time. It's you're minimizing extraneous screen time.
Yes.
To take it to an extreme and cut everything, I think is also maybe not the best, because realistically, we live in a world that is based on this, and a child needs to know how to function in that world. But they also need the lessons of this is positive interaction on screen time. This you don't need so much. You want it, and that's appropriate to want it, but you don't necessarily need it. So where's the balance? Anytime you can teach a child to make a better decision about where's the balance, that's a good thing.
And I believe Melody made a post a couple of days ago, and it was kind of like a parent skills concept. Sometimes as parents, especially during this pandemic time, we're really, really stressed, right? And there's a whole lot going on. So we're either harsh or we're soft. There is no happy medium anymore. There isn't that time that we need to think clearly, okay, what kind of virtual concept is this right now? You know what I mean? Do I need to punish the child for, doing or acting out this way? Guys, the kids are stuck in the house all day long, right? They're not going out. And especially if there are some of those parents who are like, we're not leaving, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, wear your gloves, wear your masks, wear this. Like, I'm like, okay, that's way extreme. I guess I got my own, concept about that. But, again, the kids need to go out in their backyard and run around and play. The kids need to have physical activity aside from the martial arts activity, aside from being on the computer and doing their work. So once I was able to talk to that parent and I gave him like small little things that they can do throughout the day, his child is on our live classes every single day and he hasn't missed one. Why? Because we took the concept of block scheduling, time scheduling, everything out, and we presented it to them. Okay. I was talking to Nathan this morning and he said he did a block scheduling video because when he came to the Skillz HQ workshop that we did, he goes, Jennifer blew my mind away about block scheduling. And he did a presentation recorded it, sent it out to his parents, and it increased his online showings where more parents and more students were showing up watching because of that, because everybody thinks, oh, I'm on the computer for 8 hours. How has that changed, Michael? You still go to work every single day. The difference is you're doing it at work versus doing it at home. So how has that changed you being on the screen for 8 hours at work or 8 hours at home?
Sure. I think part of the difference is people are now working 8 hours a day on the computer at the same time that they're trying to educate their kids, at the same time that they're trying to make lunches, at the same time that their husband won't leave them alone. So like one of the needs of our community right now is also that parents are extremely stressed. Now, a lot of that stress would go away if they could let the stress go away and just look with clear eyes. But that's not always realistic, because when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard to extract yourself. So leveraging things like parent skills is also important, but it's not just here's the lesson, because that's what's happening is a lot of parents are now trying to be the teacher. Sit down, do your math homework. This is 2 + 2. This is, you gotta, okay, take a breath.
Yep.
So, having a happy hour for your parents, that's the tactic, just to go back to the theme a little bit. And hopefully you guys are all doing it. We're doing one this Saturday. And the strategy, however, is how can I relieve stress from my parents so they can work more efficiently, be the good parents that we know they are, and recognize the value in maintaining their membership in my business. It's not completely altruistic. So it has to be very tactfully done. If I try to have a parent skills thing on Saturday evening, okay, everybody, this is what you're doing wrong with your kids. This is how you're going to make it better. Here's your homework on top of all the things that you're already doing, as opposed to just chatting with them. And when they say, oh man, I've been trying so hard to get him to just sit down and focus for 20 minutes. And now I can start to use parent skills with, all right, so, what's your level of connection with your child when you're trying to do this? Are you being adaptable about what your child needs as well? Going through all these different techniques, just conversationally, and when you hit on a point, they'll ask for more.
Yep.
It's very tactfully done. My strategy being help my community and remind them why they're part of my business. The tactic being, let me have this. We've been calling it the wine and wine. So we're all going to have wine and wine about our kids. But that's probably not what we'll really call it.
And at the same time, how many of you have taken Jennifer's blogs for the last 3 or 4 blogs that she's written? Everything was literally focused on the current situation and how kids will act and kids will be acting, and sometimes how parents act and react. Okay. So, Michael, a lot of schools are doing the parents gathering on Zoom and stuff like that. I'm doing something slightly different. Okay. The last 5 to 7 minutes of the class, I go, all right, guys, everybody come to the camera and bring your parents with you. Have them sit together, right? So at the end of every class, because I'm used to being in the lobby, I'm used to having the team teach the classes, and I'm out there doing either the parent skills conversation or asking questions, like, poking at the parents, but responding to their questions in a parent skills manner, right? Not saying that what you're doing is wrong, but, what questions do you guys have for us, And at the last 5 minutes, I asked the questions, parents, what can we do to make your life easier right now? What can we do, or what is your child doing that you may need help with? Maybe I can give you an idea or two, or Mrs. Smith can give you an idea or two. So now that last 5 minutes becomes where 1 or 2 parents will ask a question or two, and we try to give them an answer. And I'll let them know, hey, parents, if I didn't get your question, do me a favor, send me a message. I'll have an answer for you by next time.
And by the way, guys, if you're recording your Zoom classes, which whether you're posting them or not, you should be recording them exactly for this reason. Here's all your content you need for your Facebook posts. So one of the challenges that we came upon probably within the first couple of days was, normally I have the team running around with their phone, and one person's job is to take a bunch of pictures in each class so that I always have content. And after about the second day of me taking pictures of my computer screen, man, it's just not the same. So you have the opportunity now to go review those classes and do little outtakes of, when somebody was up on spotlight video doing awesome, or when you're doing that little chat at the end and Mrs. Johnson says, we really love these classes, they're so helpful, and like, I love getting those messages, because right now it's hard for it to be a two-way street. It's very emotionally giving. We're not getting any of that response back being on digital. So when I get like
could
that,
could you please say that one more time?
So,
could you please say that one more time?
Which part?
Like, the part that we're putting out all this energy and we're putting out all this stuff through Zoom, right? And we're not getting it back, because we used to get that feedback from the students in the classroom.
High five in the class, or the hug, something, not to sound selfish, but when you give and give and give and give, you need something to refill you. So when Mrs. Johnson can now come on and say, hey, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. It's really bringing normalcy to my child's life. Like, stuff like that almost makes me teary nowadays.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, trim that video. Here's a 5-second snippet, ad, and now I have something besides me taking a picture of my Zoom class, or maybe I get crazy and take the opposite picture of my instructors leading a Zoom class. Now I have something meaningful to use in my ads, in my social media, and later on, even on my website as a testimonial.
Yep. I mean, here's one thing that I'm always throwing at my parents, my kids, everything, all the classes that we teach every single week, whether it's yoga or Skillz Fit or martial arts. So I'm going to throw this at you guys as martial arts instructors and people who are watching. One, how many of you are still living the same schedule that you lived a month ago? In other words, you're not going to bed late, you're not waking up late, you're not feeling like it's vacation time. How many of you have spent more money on groceries and you're realizing, oh snap, I need to go shopping again? Okay, that means from a health perspective, you're overeating. Okay, how many of you are trying to find time right now, because maybe you're not teaching as many classes, or maybe you've got extra time on your hand, are actually going into tapping into something new, tapping into something that will better your business or better yourself? Because that's the difference between the mindset stages, right? Right now, I am trying my best. Jennifer and I are so piggybacking each other. You have no idea. Like, Michael, do you remember the first week when we did the website and I sent it to you on Melody? Jennifer went back and like every single week, she keeps on changing it to make it better. So she just did a 4th revision on it to make it easier for us, easier for the students, easier for everybody, right? But at the same time, look at Market Muscle, right? How many times has Steven kept on dropping bombs on us to better structure the website? Okay.
Look, man, I'm a pretty tech savvy dude. I can't keep up with what Steven's dropping.
And Jennifer's going, oh my God, my brain hurts, right? My brain hurts because, again, don't fall in the trap of being home. Don't fall in the trap that you're not going anywhere. And people go, well, I don't have enough time. Oh, BS. Because think about it. You used to drive to your studio and drive home from your studio.
We still
right?
do.
Okay, which is fine, right? Because in your situation, you do that, right? But how about like for us, we're not driving to the studio. So
even
in all fairness,
even for us, we're still driving and commuting and keeping the same schedule, but I don't have to spend hours disinfecting my studio every day.
Yes.
Nobody's here. I mean, we're still cleaning and dusting and maintaining.
You're spending more time washing your hands.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, guys. The mindset that you're currently living is either going to be on the growth mindset side or I'm in the slump. Okay. And, Melody said it the other day, and I couldn't not, like, I was like, please preach it again. Say it one more time. But of course, because we're on a Zoom call, I didn't do that. The number of posts that we are making, I say we as a general, I'm not, about the negative remarks or the negative things or the negative that. Has anybody seen the SBA loan yet? Has anybody seen? I'm like, come on, guys, seriously. You're posting the stuff. Your parents are seeing it. Your parents are going to look at it as, oh, shit, he's worried. If he's making comments on Facebook and this and that and whatever, don't check with your accountant. Call one of us and ask us questions. Like, I know more about the SBA and the payroll protection plan and about the unemployment stuff now than I ever knew in the past
When
46
is
years of
my
my
money
life.
coming then?
Huh?
When is my money coming then?
Well, I know more as in the applications. I don't know more as in like when your money's gonna come.
I'm teasing.
But guys, learn to grow yourself at the moment. Everybody goes like, Mr. Salama, you've lost a lot of business, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah. Are you worried? I'm concerned. I'm not worried.
Yeah, and
That's a big difference. Yeah. Like,
one is, I need to plan or do
yep,
or push forward. The other
yes,
is, oh crap, I don't
yep,
know what to do. Like,
exactly.
one of the books that Melody had me read was the 40X book, and we talk about the whirlwind versus the things that you need to do to push forward. For the past few weeks, we've all been in whirlwind mode. These are the things I need to do every day, or else everything's going to collapse. By now, you should have had some of that systematized. And even if you're still saying, I don't have enough time to move forward, you need to look at your whirlwind of all this crap. I mean, it's important crap, but it's still crap. What's the one thing that you can make more efficient by 1%? And you make it more efficient by 1%. If that buys you 5 minutes in a day to move forward, okay, now what's the next thing I can make more efficient? And now you've got 10 minutes in a day to move forward.
Yep.
And you need to have a balance of both. You need to maintain everything and juggle it, but you need to then pick one single thing, right? That's one of the downsides of what's going on right now is we're all learning a lot and we're all implementing a lot and we're all taking massive action, but many of us are taking too much action on too many things instead of maintaining the things that you need to maintain and picking one thing. So for us, it was the first thing we did was, all right, we need to improve our social media presence because that's where everybody's going to be living. Then it was, we need to do live classes. Then it was, we need to improve service. Now it's, how do I improve the level of quality of my classes? So we made some purchases. When you can just focus on one single thing, even though there's 20 things to do the 10 important ones and the one thing that will get the most benefit. Once it's systematized, it goes into the whirlwind, but without adding extra burden. Then you pick the next one thing. Some people can handle 2 things. A few of us can handle 3 things. But the more narrow your focus, it's like paying down debt with a snowball, the debt snowball. You focus on one thing and get it gone. Then you're on to the next. And you'll find that even though it seems like you're not doing that much because it's only one thing, you'll actually be far more effective and efficient in what you're doing. Now, the whirlwind, that's all your stuff that you need to do every day. And your one big, hairy, audacious goal that you're focused on, your WIG, as they talk about it in the 40X book, the wildly important goal. These are the things that you need to be strategic about. So you don't just pick something and this is what I'm doing right now. Be strategic about it. What's the long-term impact that it'll have? What's the most efficient way to go about it? What can you delegate for other people to worry about? How are you going to use it beyond today? How are you going to maximize its effectiveness? So it's not just a thing, it's a thing that does, for every one work, we want 5 units of work in return or 5 units of result in return. Then put that one thing into motion. What's going to set you apart right now, and apart might mean keeping your doors open, or it might mean actually flourishing and thriving in this environment, depending on what your vision is. What's going to set you apart is your ability to look beyond today's pains to tomorrow's possibilities and beyond. Try to have a set of plans in place or ideas in place for when you reopen. Make sure they are not time dependent. Well, I'm going to run a Memorial Day sale. Well, what if we're still closed on Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Have things that are independent of time or event or theme, that you can just modularly, that's a hard word, modularly plug in whenever the time is right. You should have 5 of those just ready to go at any given time, because luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation,
Yep.
right?
So I don't know for those of you that follow us in the different groups that we're in, but I wrote a post, or I did a post last week, and it was about why coaching and now, right? And that was because last week on my coaching calls, I heard it 3 times, and I kid you not, and I heard it 3 times, and I was like, maybe there is a need for this, all right? Maybe there is a reason why I heard it 3 times, and after that, I sent it to Melody. Melody was like, wow, drop that right now, okay? And what I heard 3 times from my coaching clients was, thank you for grounding me.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the ability to just vent to you, and you're able to restructure me and reground me. And I was like, because that's really simple. My job right now when I'm coaching people, hey guys, I'm in the same boat that you're in. I'm not in a different boat. Not because we're Skillz HQ, not because we're John and Jennifer Salama, not because we got 7,000 square feet. It doesn't make us in any better situation. We're actually
Those things are
in
kind of
worse.
irrelevant right now.
Yeah, no, that's pointless. I don't. And when we think of like Skillz HQ, we're like it's not necessarily as in like, oh, the rich, right? No, it just meant that we had certain things in place that Melody liked in presenting ourselves as a skill studio, if that makes any sense, right? But my thing with a lot of my clients was, I need you to do 3 things for me. Are you ready, Michael? And in case you guys didn't read the post, please go back and read the post. It was, I can't remember when it was done, but it was why coaching and why now. It is rethink, renew, reconnect. Okay. Those 3 elements are absolutely important right now. I need you to rethink of what you're currently doing and how you're currently running your job and running your business. Okay. I need you to renew your thoughts, but into that, I need you to add something extra that you're going to take out of this pandemic, out of this situation, and maybe implement it in your business, right? Reconnect yourself from the sense of, one, I started this business 20 years ago. Actually, I started it when I was 18. But the current location with my wife and everything, it was 20 years ago. But what I know today is 1,000 times more what I knew when we first started, right? And that's reconnecting, okay? But I'm also reconnecting with the things that I need to do, right? So when I'm talking to our coaching clients and stuff like that, and I get them grounded, is because they have all these ideas. They want to do this, they want to do that, but they're going through the same emotions as our parents and as our clients are,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So make sure that you're setting time for yourself every single day, just for you, just so you can clear your head, clear your thoughts. And I'm one of those people that my brain is like always TikToking. And when Jennifer sees me walking around, she says, sit down, write it down. I'm like, I know that. Right?
You don't have to tell me.
But she's told me that for 20 years and I know it, but I still have my ways of doing things. And I think I walk around just because my brain is working, right? But again, rethink, renew, reconnect.
One of the things too, and like you've seen a lot of my personal transformation over the past 6 or 7 years, whatever we've known each other. I used to be a very negative person, like extremely.
Yeah.
Here are all the things that are going to go wrong, and that's still my initial thought is always, here's the things that could go wrong. But I've kind of changed that in my life now to, great, now that I figured those out, how am I going to get past each one of them? And it's a very different mindset. So I took my weakness and turned it kind of hopefully into a strength. You have to understand that your brain is being trained by every decision you make. It's either strengthening a neurological connection or weakening it. And if it weakens too far, it gets pruned. And if it strengthens, it becomes part of your self-image and who you are. So I encourage all of you right now in this very stressful time where you probably are surrounded by negativity, because the average person is only average because of their mindset. They tend to be more negative. It's what's kept us alive. It's a negativity bias. So in this situation, I want you to think, like, before lunch today, what is one positive thing that's coming out of all of this? So, for us, it was, all right, this highlighted some of the flaws and weaknesses in my team. That was my initial negative impression. We've been working on it. And now over the past 3 weeks, my team is like, I've watched some good instructors become really great instructors. They still have room to go, but the improvement has been so phenomenal. During the least conducive times for building connection, they're building connection. During the hardest times for clarity of communication, they're changing their speech patterns to be more effective. When we all come back in person and can have what was plus what they've learned out of this right now, our team is going to blow people out of the water. That's a positive that came out of a negative, right? So I encourage you guys to really look at what is the positive that's coming out of this and nurture the heck out of it. Even if that's your one lifeline, even if it was, hey, I recognize that I could save some money on electric by turning half the lights off during the day and save $20. Look, if that's all you got, cling to it, nurture it, and grow from it. You got to have that positive mindset to, really set you up for future success.
So when do we get our money?
I don't know. I don't know. We're entrepreneurs. If this goes on too long, and let's say the government totally flubs it, nobody gets any money, and all the martial arts schools in the world have to close, I'll open something tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Is it going to be as easy as I hoped it would have been? No. But we move and shake. It's what we do.
I mean, like I said, we know a lot more today about our business than we did when we first started the business. What's the worst that's going to happen? File bankruptcy. Sure. Right? I mean, I don't want it to go that far, but sure.
No.
I mean,
and you'd live.
What is it going to do? Ruin my credit for 7 years? Sure.
Man,
I mean,
Roebuck has been filing bankruptcy since like 1812. And they're still around.
Yeah.
All right, maybe not the best example because they're not doing well right now, but still, it's just a thing.
From the very beginning, I've said it 1,000 times. You can have the situation control you, or you can control the current situation. And I'm not saying like control the pandemic. I'm not saying control the coronavirus. No, control yourself, control your thought process, control your behavior, control like what you can do to make it better versus going, oh, well, because of this, I'm having to do that. So, I mean, so.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? I love that question.
I mean,
all right, man. So we're like 10 minutes over here.
Are we really?
Yeah, we are.
Wow.
That's all right.
It makes up for last week.
Yeah, we had to give you a little extra. So guys, if you're struggling with any of this, you are not alone. Even though we are distancing and isolating, you are not isolated. We are here. We are a phone call away, a Zoom session away. You need a day off. Look, if you're a Skillz member, talk to another Skillz school and get somebody to cover your classes for the day.
Yeah.
This is a new era, and it may last another week. It may last another year. You can't let it get you down. You can't let it isolate you. Reach out if you need help. If you have something and want to help, reach out to somebody that you know is struggling and see if they want the help. Don't just offer it. See if they want it.
Or you know what? Maybe you don't need the help. Maybe you just need to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Reach out to us. We're here.
Yeah, talk to one of us before you post the diatribe on Facebook.
Please. Yes.
Students. Well, I have been slightly guilty lately. I'm going to go reform my ways.
I mean, if it's not something amazing and something positive, like there's so much negativity out there right now that we just don't need that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we will see you guys again. If you're a Skillz Gold member, don't forget we have our Monday meeting with Melody. And if you're not a Skillz Gold member and you like to become so, obviously you can speak to one of us. There's a lesson. We've gotten a whole bunch of new members with Skillz because of what Melody and the team have been putting out. So hope for your business if you're of a giving mindset. Yeah,
the number of cancellations versus the number of people who are walking in right now with Skillz is just amazing. Amazing. Definitely a blessed organization to be with.
Yep. My boss is better than your boss. I say it all the time. Well, maybe not your boss. but their boss.
I think they're both. Yeah.
Same.
We
same.
yeah.
Same. All right, everybody. So we'll be back next Wednesday for during the time that we are servicing our gold members at the higher level. We'll have the show continued on Wednesdays, and then we will make a decision once things go back to normal what we'll do from there. So we hope to see you next week. If you need us, give a shout.
You know where to find us.
Everywhere. All right.
And signing out from beautiful sunny Georgia.
That's it. I will catch you next time.
Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye.